it can be anywhere hour-ish, give or take 15 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
We're
We
usually
usually-
for sometimes a little shorter.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we usually try to hit around the hour mark now. So,
How long is your podcast, by the way? Ooh, we're on YouTube.
forgot to mute. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Giles and the Goalie podcast. I am your host, Giles Farrell. Still very badly needing a haircut. I have to full on cover it up now. As always, I am joined by Ben Remington.
Hello.
I forget. I was going to make some kind of a Russian joke, but I'm just having some kind of a bad Monday, so it's over my head now.
That's fair.
And joining us for our Minnesota Wild jersey ranking podcast, we are very excited to have Dave Schwartz of Care 11 joining the pod once again. Dave, how's it going?
Good, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to be sporting my Bossier Shreveport Mudbugs jersey. This is my prized possession. I actually have 2 of these. I'm very, very proud of these. They are the most random jersey that I have, which I love.
Yeah, you teased us with this yesterday, and you did not disappoint at all.
Right.
I have to go down with the Mighty Ducks jersey. That's my pride and joy. So
Is that a Paul Correa?
It is.
That's
It
a
is.
beauty. Now, Ben, you're wearing, is that Tretiak?
Yes, it is.
Ah, got it. The number.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The goalie, that's my shtick. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a good one to have. So yeah, we're doing, as we said, we're doing another ranking list this week, and this is more of a visual one. So we've tried to encourage our listeners to check this out on our YouTube channel, and I will yield the floor to Ben to describe how we're going to go about this.
Sure. So we've done a couple of top 10s already, but this one we decided to do the jerseys in Wild history, and conveniently enough, if you kind of split it up, you get a little bit ticky-tacky like we like to do. There actually has been 10 jerseys in Wild history. I know it doesn't exactly feel like that, but just due to the subtle changes that happened when the providers for the NHL jerseys changed, there has been enough changes to actually have 10 different jerseys. So pretty simple. I made a list of my top 10, counting down. Dave made one of his own, and we're going to compare here. And Giles is going to throw them up on his screen as we come across them, and we'll argue vehemently about them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you stretched it out to get to 10, because I'll just say this: 6 and 5 on my list are almost identical, except for one very tiny detail that drives me absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, there's a couple of jerseys that are very, very similar, but they did make some changes.
Yeah.
And we'll go over those. So anyway, we'll kick it off here. I have, for my 10th Wild jersey, aka the worst Wild jersey, I actually have the original green jersey as my least favorite. This may be a controversial take, but I just really didn't like how they used Microsoft Paint and took the green from the shoulders of the white and filled in the white and called it a day on that jersey. So I just think there was a lot of green there, and I just wasn't overall a huge fan of this jersey. It's not terrible, but I just didn't really like how it turned out with all the green.
I don't think Coho made a very good hockey jersey. They didn't make much very good hockey stuff. I didn't like their sticks either, but if I'm correct, those were Cohos, and I'm not a fan. The whites were CCM, but the greens are Cohos, aren't they?
Yeah, it's weird. They had two different providers for the home and road uniforms. What
Bizarre.
a weird.
That is all one company though. Coho and CCM were all the hockey company.
Ah,
I'm not into business.
Which subsequently got bought by Reebok or Adidas or whichever.
which is bought by Bauer. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so that's what I got for number 10. Dave, what did you have as your 10th favorite Wild jersey?
This is going to be controversial. First of all, the top of the top, I guess we'll say bottom half of my list for the 10 through 5 is predominantly white. I'm not a white jersey guy. It's just not. It's not one of my things.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sorry. My top 10, to be honest with you, is the current white. I'm not a fan of it. I don't
Really?
like. Yeah, it's really not my favorite. I think the green around the red is a weird look. I don't like the stripes. The logo's fine. I'm okay with it on the green jersey, which I'll get into later because it's got that kind of cool stripe in the middle of it.
Uh-huh.
It's just, I don't like the way it looks. And there's nothing that I like about that jersey. I don't like the logo on it. Some of the older whites had a different logo on the front, which made them at least a little passable for me. I'm just not a fan.
Okay. What do you, different logo on the front is in the bear head was different?
Well, they used some of the other, I'm looking at yours. If some of the other white ones didn't have that, I have one right here, didn't have the bear head on the front. Some of them had, didn't they say wild or was a different logo or something like that? I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it's because I don't like whites and I get that. I don't like the white. I don't like the green on the shoulders. It's not to me, that's not a good look.
Okay.
And I don't like the stripes on the arms. I'm just not a fan of white or light colored jerseys.
You know, I can certainly hear that argument. I tend to lean a lot more towards colored jerseys anyway.
Okay.
So I can hear that. I don't agree with this particular take, but I can agree with the preferring coloreds over whites. I get it. I always have too. Giles, I think, is the opposite, aren't you?
Actually, I have to say kudos to Dave. We're just a few minutes into the show and you rendered him utterly speechless, which is either something that happens at the end of the show or you must have a take that's out there. So I applaud.
It's out there.
And I think the current whites they're good. I don't know. I agree with Dave. Like I'm kind of more of a colored jersey type of guy. There are some exceptions to that rule, like the one that I'm currently wearing.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think I'd probably have to disagree that this current white is probably one of the better jerseys they've had, but
that's
where I'm at more as we go on.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll move on to my number 9 and the jersey that everyone probably expected to be dead last. And that was the Reebok Edge version of the red jersey. When they switched to Reebok, they made a couple of changes and you'll see the other red jersey soon. But they took the red jersey and they eliminated the tail stripe on it and added that cream shoulder piping that looks terrible. And I just wasn't a fan. Reebok in general, me and Giles have talked about this at length. The Reebok Edge was kind of a disaster from a jersey design standpoint. They did go on to correct a lot of their mistakes as time went on, but especially that initial launch of the Reebok Edge jerseys, they just basically screwed up almost every jersey they got their hands on with few exceptions. So that's where I'm at on these.
I'm laughing because this one's considerably higher on my list. Let's see. I'm getting to my list here. Okay, so the Edge was 0709. So yep. I'm going back farther. Mine was white 0307, and I forget who made it then, but 03 to 07.
Oh, sure. That was the Reebok.
That was the Reebok too.
The first Reebok white jersey, yeah.
The first Reebok one that I was not a fan of. I did not. I have a problem, and this is a little thing, but I guess we're going to break it down like that. I have a problem with the webbing underneath. I always thought that was kind of weird. Never really understood what it did. Other than that, the jersey's okay. I don't love I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I love the font. Sometimes I hate the font. For certain numbers, I like it. I have one of my own, so I actually am a fan of the jersey.
Yeah, I saw that on the news tonight.
It was given to me, so that's fair. I got through the Wild Fantasy Camp one year, so
that helps.
Actually, in 07. So this was the I believe the one that I have is the first year of the newer Reebok jerseys, the ones that came out in 07, if I'm remembering. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. The 03. So I have the last one from the 0307.
Right.
But I didn't. They were okay to me. I didn't mind them that much. But again, I always take off points because they're a white jersey. So
yeah, the big change when they went to Reebok was they changed the shoulder patch. Or sorry, that was a little bit later. That was 09 when they changed the shoulder patch. It wasn't the circle logo anymore. It was it just said Minnesota Wild and like this weird badgy type look. It's not showing on there either, huh?
I'm getting it.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my beef with the Reebok Edge ones. That shoulder patch was just kind of weird. Not the original one was great by any means, but you know, it was just kind of a weird shoulder patch logo to make the change to, especially like, why did you need to change that? I never understood that. Pulling up the logos here. Oh, Detroit.
Definitely don't want Detroit.
Yeah, there it is.
This was just weird.
Yeah,
Came out of
I mean,
nowhere.
it's not bad, but it's just like, why did you need to do that? I don't understand. I don't know. Above my pay grade. So
Yeah.
anyway,
All of
the transitioning nicely for me, the number 8 jersey on the list for me was the first red jersey before the Reebok Edge, which I do like more than the Reebok Edge version, obviously, because it had that tail stripe and it didn't have that nasty shoulder piping. But you know, these were jerseys that I liked when they came out a lot. They had an old school look that was kind of a new thing in the NHL and went on to be copied and bastardized to the nth degree. But they didn't age well, and people really got sick of them. And I'll be honest, the kind of the swell of negativity around them from the fans probably notches them down a couple of spots on my ranking. Because I didn't mind them as much when they first came out because they were a nice old school look, but they definitely just didn't age well.
All right. You know what? I didn't think this would happen. We're in complete agreement. That was my number 8 too.
Wow. Okay.
The red 03 to 07 for a number of reasons. One, I find it hard to believe that you can make them look worse, but they really look horrible laying out like that. And the problem with that lettering over time, as it ages, it gets more manila, and it just looks really weird with that red and green. And then, and this will be a common theme, the laces. I hate the laces. I cannot stand the tie laces. They always have driven me nuts from when I played or when I wear them now, because I don't ever know what to do with them. Do you just tie them? Do you do a regular tie and loop them? I don't know. They drive me crazy, and I can only imagine as a player how much it would drive me nuts every time there's a change in elevation of whatever I'm doing, that these come fly up in your face.
You know what I think I did on a couple of my Wild jerseys that had laces is I bar laced them, which I saw the players did a lot. I bar laced them and tucked them in. So I think that would kind of alleviate that problem of the bunny ears whipping you in the chin 90 times a game, as you're talking about.
Well, there goes my argument. I still don't like them.
No, and that's fair. I happen to like the laces. I think in small
I like them
doses,
bar laced. I'm okay with them that way, but tied
I
up
think in small doses, but I'm kind of, you know, it is a little bit gimmicky too. All right, so moving on, number 7, I have the Edge white.
Wait, Giles, we didn't get your number 8.
Well, he's didn't make a list.
Ben and I are pretty much in agreement when it comes to Wild jerseys. So his list is our list.
Sure.
Like our ice.
He's just here to roast my list, basically.
Very perfect.
Is how it works. So I have the Edge white, the one that we talked about where they changed the shoulder logo inexplicably. And also the collar to that one was weird. It like came down into like it came to a point almost, and that's where the NHL logo was. And I always thought that looked like hell. I really didn't like how that looked. But you know, maybe that was just me.
See, I don't, and I guess we'll get into this more later, but I'll go there now. I kind of liked, as far as neckline wise, I thought those Edge ones, the Reeboks, were cool with the gold and the red. And I'm looking at mine right now, and I just think it really looks kind of cool, vintage. It's out there. It's very Phoenix Coyotes, their first couple years, kind of weird pattern, which I kind of think those jerseys are fun too. But I mean, I can see what you're saying too. I think this was one of the first two. The Edge were the ones that had more of they kind of tapered a little bit. I always thought that was kind of cool, which I like that better, straight around.
I probably would have liked this color a lot more if the NHL logo didn't become like the tip of it.
Yeah.
'Cause I just thought that looked kind of forced and like they did a good job of putting the NHL logo in the collar of a lot of jerseys, but this placement just made it look that much worse. Like made it look that much more obvious that they had to put the NHL crest there instead of, I mean, they know they had to, but instead of wanting to, which
Yeah.
bothered me, I guess. To me, that collar just looks too much like back when baseball players wore like suit coats, basically like polo shirts, and it just looks a little bit too formal. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's my
I
beef
can
with
see
it.
that. I'll say this and about all these jerseys, and it's something that's always bothered me because I'm a throwback guy, and I loved it with Gretzky. I always thought it was kind of cool. I miss when they used to put the CCM and the NHL at the bottom of the jersey.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
you knew that it was the real deal. And if you were
Yep.
a Gretzky fan like I was, and you wanted a real jersey, you knew he had to have his, they especially made his with them on both sides, because the jersey, the CCM and the NHL patch was always on the right side, I think.
Yeah.
And
he tucked it
Gretzky
in.
always tucked in his right side. So they, smartly enough, they said, no way, we're not having the greatest player in the game tuck our logo in, so we're going to put one on the, so a real Gretzky jersey, if you ever want to buy like an authentic real one that he wore, it's his, because it has the double CCMs on it.
Huh.
On both sides.
Interesting.
But I total tangent, but I always thought that was really cool, and I miss the CCM or obviously or whatever it is in the NHL logo on the bottom.
Yeah.
I actually never knew that. That's
Yeah, I
good to
didn't
know for when I open up the purse strings for a Gretzky jersey.
Yeah, it wasn't all of his, but I'm fairly certain they did it pretty quickly in Edmonton. They realized that, and I know they did it by the time he got to LA, because he was such a big draw that it was ridiculous not to have the CCM. And maybe that's why all these jerseys now have them on the back of the neck, because they got tired of them being moved out of the way. But
Yeah.
Right.
I had at 7 the original green, and I think
I had that 110.
list because it's green, but for all the same reasons, I don't like it. So the patch, but this one does still have the NHL patch at the bottom too.
Yeah.
So maybe I should have put it higher, but still, the whole thing about that. Yeah, it's just kind of an odd looking jersey. There it is. The lettering's weird, and then there's the underarm stuff that I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, the mesh. It just lacks so much creativity for me. Like, not that you had to make the shoulders of it white or even red, which probably would have looked even worse. But it was so much green. It almost looked like a practice jersey at times. Like, it was just a lot. So,
and it's interesting, and I wasn't here around this time, but I feel like if I was a North Stars fan.
Did we lose them?
Maybe. Probably.
Dave.
Oh boy.
Am I back?
Yeah,
Yep.
you're back.
Sorry.
That's all right.
It said my connection was. I said I was talking about how I wasn't here when the North Stars left, but when the Wild came in, and they go with the a different shade of green, and I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like it was more of just a cheap take on trying to keep those colors, as opposed to just going in a different direction with a new franchise. You got a new franchise, so why not just go with it? Or if you're going to continue, and they couldn't, because although Dallas changed their green, why not just stick with the green and yellow again and come up with a new logo?
Yeah. I think there was, I think the group think that wound us up with the Wild name. I think that's where the green comes in. I mean, it certainly fits the name, I guess, is probably what they were going for. The red, not as much. So I don't know, I mean, there's not a whole lot of, I know they call it Iron Range red, but it's like, it's not really the wilderness. That's a giant pit in Hibbing. Like, that's a little different than, the forest where you're going to find said animal, whatever animal it is. So it's, you're going to find an animal in the pits, but it's a totally different animal. So anyway, we can move on. Number
the
6.
red when the animal tears into you. Is that what the red comes from?
Yeah, that
There you
too.
go.
Yeah. I've got some relatives in the Iron Range, and they are animals, but it's just a totally different kind of animal. So.
Somebody put the red in there after they watched the movie Predator.
Yeah, exactly.
It does look like, it looks like the way the letters go too.
My number 6 jersey, Giles, you just had it up, the original white jersey. And I don't think this is a bad jersey. I'm not a big fan of the jagged, scary numbers. Um, it was kind of gimmicky for me. I mean, it worked for what they wanted to go for, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of them, and I'm fine with different number fonts, but this one was just, it was so 90s, and the team started in 2000 and was just kind of clinging to that whole scary predatory animal theme that was pretty thick in the mid to late 90s. So that's kind of what knocks them down on my list.
See, I feel like, and I think, because I remember when I got my first this White Wild jersey, which I believe was the first year of the Reeboks, and I remember looking at the lettering and thinking, oh, that's terrible. That's just hideous.
Yeah.
But the farther we get from it, the cooler I think it is, because it was just so out there and different that it's like, like every year away, I used to never wear the white one, and now all of a sudden, like, it's my favorite jersey, that I own. So are we up to number 6?
Oh, we're losing you.
Oh, not again. Did you lose me again?
Oh, there you go. What'd you say?
Sorry. I said, am I at 6 on my list?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going back-to-back greens. I just didn't like either one of these. I'm going to go green from 03 to 07. It's mostly the same jersey, I think, but they added 03 to 07. What did they do different to it? I'm trying to remember all my thought process here. I think did they add anything, or is it just switched jerseys? Maybe I just don't like it because it's the same dang jersey and they didn't do anything to it.
Yeah, that's the same one as the original. Yeah. It might have changed brands, but the design of it didn't change at all. As far as I can tell.
I think maybe that was a throwaway one. I'm still not a fan of the way it was.
Sure.
New year, same old stuff.
And what we have on screen, I don't think it does justice to these numbers and how they looked on TV. It feels like they were a lot darker on TV, so it was really hard to like pick up the number of the player that had the puck.
Oh, that was probably a disaster to probably see on television, especially the lettering of the nameplates. It's so tight together.
Yeah,
I can barely see Gabrick, and I'm looking at it right here. Not that, I mean, they know what 10 is, but I bet that was difficult.
Right.
Yeah, it was like Impact Bold or something that they used for that font. And it's like, why would you ever use that for anybody who wants to be identified? And you can tell that they knew it was a mistake, because right as we're looking at it right now, they came up with the red jerseys and went a completely different direction with the fonts on the name and the numbers, and just didn't get around to changing the greens and the whites, because they probably knew they were going to change them eventually anyway, which they did. So. Alrighty. So on to number 5, this is where the jerseys start to get better. I think you can start calling them maybe objectively good. And this one won't be on here, Giles. Number 5, I have the Stadium Series jersey. The jersey featured behind you. Oh, there it is. I thought this was a pretty solid jersey. It was different, but it wasn't out there. The comically large TV numbers, we understand that, the game was played at a football stadium. You're going to have comically large TV numbers. But I think it was a decent jersey. It wasn't great, but I think it was a decent jersey, all things considered.
I won't give it away, but this is higher on my list.
Sure.
I actually, and sadly, I just donated my Stadium Series jersey to charity. Because it didn't have a number on it anyway. It was something that they gave to us, and the Wild had a charity thing, and I said, well, that's fine. Just get me one from this year's Winter Classic and we'll call it even. But I did like this jersey. I won't give away where it is, but I did like this one. Let's see, number 5 I have on my list. I have the 13 to 17. So the most recent Reds, I believe, before the second to last. The last Red.
The Reebok.
Yeah. So for me, the big difference, I thought, first of all, I'm trying to see, I'm going back through all my notes here. From 10 to 13, the big change that I saw was the strings. So either they're not there or they just put them in differently, but they're no longer hanging.
Yeah,
They're just
they borrow
in
later
there.
stuff.
Yeah, and I was a big fan of that. I just think it's a clean look. I think we get away from the crazy numbers at this point. The jersey looks clean. There's not. It just looks the red leans into the red, just a little bit of green on the arms, and that's it. I'm not a big fan of total contrast. Maybe that's why I didn't like the whites. The total contrast shoulder to regular jersey. I just think that one late.
Dave, no,
Did you lose me again?
no, just for a second there.
I'm sorry. I'm in my
Sorry.
my internet's not that. You'd think I'd have better internet.
No, I think valid points on the red. I didn't hate. I mean, this version I didn't like as much as the original, because I didn't like the shoulder piping. That was kind of like a Reebok Edge thing. They did
Mhm.
a lot of piping for whatever reason. Like they threw piping in every jersey they possibly could, and this one wasn't as bad. At least they didn't have the piping like going up the ribs like some unfortunate teams got stuck with. But I actually own one of these jerseys, and I'm still not really a huge fan of it. It was ninth on my list. So
I have one too. It's not my all-time favorite, but it's progressing towards the better in my mind.
sure.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder what, and this will be a sentiment I share later, but just if you get rid of the piping, I probably think a lot better of these.
That's fair. All right. So number 4 for me is the current green jersey, the Adidas relaunch green jersey. I think they did a good job. We were excited to get a new jersey for the Wild when Adidas took over. I think that the bar stripe across the middle is interesting. I think that it kind of breaks up the logo. Obviously, it keeps it from being too green like the original greens were, which is kind of nice. I like that it's the template of the white jersey as far as the arm stripes go. The one random red stripe there looks a little bit off, but I think at the same time, they did want to include red in this jersey more than just in the logo. So that's just kind of where it ended up, and it was a convenient place to put it. But I think these are decent jerseys. There's some folks that really like them. There's some folks that aren't crazy about them. I think the M shoulder patch is really good, but pretty good for me.
I'm a fan. The thing that I fell in love with about these jerseys, again, so random that only like real jersey nuts can appreciate, the cream piping right around the bottom. I just think that's such a cool look because it separates the jersey from the pads, so you don't look, or from the pants, so you don't necessarily look like one giant green blob. So I'm a big fan of that. My number 4 jersey is the one that I own, that I have. It's that you saw tonight on Care 11 News at 6, and you'll see again at 10. Is my 07-09 white jersey, and it's again, like I said before, at the first I got it, I wasn't a big fan, but the more I wore it, the cooler it was, and I would be totally okay for a season if they brought back an alternate jersey where they brought back those numbers again, just one more time. I love the green and red and the white along the bottom. I love this. The thing I like about the green stripe across the top is that it's continuous, so it doesn't so it gives you one kind of cool contrast to the rest of the jersey. And those numbers grow on me. The more I saw them, the more I was with them. The farther they went away, the more I loved them, and I'd be totally okay if they brought them back for one more season.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
That's right. Come back, crazy numbers.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're doing a throwback jersey program apparently, and this very much will not be a part of it. Instead, it's going to be North Star colors for the throwback jerseys for the Wild, which Giles and I have kind of come out against. It's kind of like stalking your ex on Instagram.
Yep.
And so we're not fans of it in that kind of regard, Dave. Well, how do you feel about that? As Wild wearing North Star colors?
There's two schools of thought, right? I mean, it's like, do you go back to what you love and what you think is really neat, like the crazy jagged numbers, or do you completely abandon? I mean, they've been here. The Wild have been around for 20 years now. Maybe at this point, it's time to say, okay, we've been here long enough. We don't have to still go back to that kid in high school that we were when we were the Minnesota North Stars, and we've now graduated to our own thing. So I will admit, when I saw, it was maybe 2 years ago when they wore the North Stars uniforms in this at the X, because I saw Parisi wearing
for warm-ups. Yeah.
And that was really cool. But the other part of it that I'm okay with at this point is that the Dallas Stars look so nothing like what the Minnesota North Stars jerseys look like anymore. They're complete in another direction. So it really does feel like that history still belongs to us, so that it is okay to go there. So I guess I'm ambivalent to it. I'm really, really interested to see, and if I maybe I've missed them. I have not seen what the jerseys are going to look like for the Winter Classic yet.
No, they haven't released those yet.
Very interested.
Probably be a while, I would assume.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the old school jerseys, as we've been told about. Russo said they're going to happen, and they are going to be North Star colored. But obviously, no prototype has been seen just yet. So
it's such a dicey subject. You're going to get people who love it and people who think, how dare you go back to those days because they're gone and they left us and Norm Green sucks and blah blah blah.
Right.
There's a couple thoughts. One, I just kind of wonder if the Wild are just trying to phase back into becoming the North Stars again and just seeing if anyone else notices. And then on the Winter Classic now, with the season possibly not starting until December, is there even going to be a Winter Classic? That's a giant question that sits in my head now.
That would be the worst Minnesota thing ever. They would. I at least hope that they would do the right thing and award Minnesota the Winter Classic the next year. But you just never know what old Gary has up to. I'm not a Gary Bettman fan. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm not a Bettman fan.
Who is?
I don't. Well, the owners, they all love him, I'm sure, because they keep making their pockets fat.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't even talk. I can't even think. I was so excited when I heard it was coming here.
Yeah. I don't think that it's in jeopardy. If they plan on starting this season in December, and they've said they want to play all 82 games December, and they'll end the season a little bit later. So it'd be December through May. I don't see why they can't do a Winter Classic. Now, All-Star game, that's a different story because you got to take a bunch of days off for that.
Take that out, sure.
In 82 games into, a month shorter season. But I don't see why you can't have the Winter Classic in a condensed season like that. I just don't. I don't know why they would need to cancel that if games do start in December.
And let's not forget that usually does get pretty good ratings, believe it or not.
Yeah.
On NBC, thank you. We do love that game, and it does well considering it's going up against a number of college football games that day. So it makes money, and especially it being here. I mean, this is such a big market for the NHL. If you look at the Stanley Cup ratings, even if Minnesota's not in it, we're almost always.
Yeah, they're always top 5-ish, top 6, 7, something like that. I think that's what Dave was trying to say. They're always up there.
Yeah. Need to call a Comcast for Dave. Well. Oh, is he back?
Hey, hi, sorry.
It's all right.
I finished your thought. I think you were going for the Twin Cities are always in the top 5 or 7-ish area of the NHL playoff ratings.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Which makes me believe it's gonna be here.
Right. All right. So on to number 3 for me, the third best jersey in Wild history. And this is maybe controversial because it's probably tops on a lot of lists. I have the green alternate jersey for the Minnesota Wild from 10 to 17, or actually 9 to 17. Tremendous jersey. I really like it, and I think that it was a great design, and it omitted almost all the red, which was maybe a good thing and maybe something they can look at to the future, but that's just me. And some people knock the logo for being a little bit too simple or being baseballish, but I think it worked. I think it worked as an old schoolish type logo. I think there's a lot of hockey teams, especially back in the day when logos were a lot simpler and not designed for thousands of dollars, that looked like that. And so that's why I think it works.
I had my list messed up here. Hang on, I got the wrong one up there because I'm looking at my number and I'm going, wait, that's not right. I actually had the same one. I had the green from 2019 to 2010.
Oh, see the new ones.
2009, excuse me, 2009 to 2010.
Oh yeah, that was the alternate. Yep.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. For the same reasons you did. Not the least of which is it got rid of that. I was never a big fan of the plain bear logo. I really love that Minnesota logo across the middle. I just think that's really cool. I'm a big fan of that. The laces obviously are going the way I don't like them, but I got to get over that. So
you can learn to live with them.
Yes, absolutely.
This is probably number one on my list, even though I, again, always ask a what if there's no shoulder piping, and if you just take MS Paint and cover it up, then it makes it that much better for me. And something to be said about not having shoulder patches on a uniform in this day and age, which I think is a good old look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it if you do get rid of the shoulder piping, it goes to a really simple-ish look, but that's not a bad thing. It goes to almost like a Red Wings or Current Lightning or that level of simplicity that I think looks really good. I think that kind of stuff does really well in the NHL because there's a lot of clutter out there with a lot of jerseys and a lot of sports, and clean looks are where it's at.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm with you guys on that. I do like this one quite a bit.
All right, so my number 2 jersey, and hopefully Dave isn't too discussed with me. The number 2 jerseys that are current white jersey.
Current white.
Yeah. I really do like the white jerseys. This one was a little bit different than when they redesigned the white the last time because the collar changed. They got rid of, or they made the tie like a weird plasticky type thing. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't actually laces anymore, which, I'm sure Dave loves, but
I did love that. Yeah.
I didn't like the Adidas. That was the one knock. I think Adidas did a phenomenal job when they took over, simplifying a lot of jerseys, mm-hmm. but the collars on a lot of them did look really weird. The Wild didn't get hit as hard as some teams. Like I remember the Blackhawks looked like they were wearing bibs for a while there. But yes. The collars were a little bit weird and a little bit clunky. They have fixed a few of them, but I think this white jersey, like I said before, clean is really where it's at for me. And Giles mostly agrees with that. It's a really clean look. I really like what they did at making it simple. It does have, the shoulder yoke on it, but I think that it's not too crazy to where you can say that it's really cluttered up or really looks terrible. Cause the North Stars had a lot of shoulder yokes on their jerseys too. And a lot of those turned out just fine. So I'm a big fan of the current whites.
I will say this, and I do like I also have an Adidas jersey at number 2. My number 2 is the current green ones, mm-hmm. which I think are just absolutely awesome. Everything from, again, I love the cream around the bottom that breaks up the jersey. I think the bar across the middle makes that giant bear logo palatable. I loved the red, the kind of the red accent in the NHL logo right there. And I like the M on the sleeves. I think that's really, the only thing that could make this better is if they made the numbers, the crazy numbering again. I also thought and to one of the things I love about the white ones, even though it was higher on my list, one of the things I do like about it is the lettering, the writing on the inside. I believe there is writing or some sort on the inside of the collar.
Yeah, Giles has one there.
Yeah. Is there something in design?
Say the state of hockey, I believe.
Is that what it says?
It doesn't say anything.
I don't think the green one has it. I think only the white one has it.
Oh, yes, it does. You are correct, sir.
Okay.
That was a big.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I always thought, it's really small. You don't ever see it, but it's little things like that they take the time to do, I think is kind of neat.
They did that. That was another thing that Adidas did. I think the reason why their colors were so big and clunky is they did a lot of that inside the collar stuff. That's a trend that comes from college football, I think. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of teams had like their city flag on the inside collar or some kind of slogan like that. I'm absolutely blown away. It doesn't say the state of hockey. It says Minnesota, but
Don't give them ideas.
I know,
Well,
I know, right?
That may be trademarked too. Actually, that may be trademarked. I don't know. They may have to.
Well, it's trademarked by them. I would
Is
think.
it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we know that
I would
because
think so.
they sued. Well, not sued, but they gave a cease and
Oh,
desist
by the
letter
Wild.
to a blog that
Yes.
we're aware of, unfortunately, and they had to change their name because they can't use the state of hockey. So
then they could have put that. I don't know why they
Yeah.
didn't.
So then getting on to the top, again, disappointment for Dave. My top jersey is the white jersey after the redesign under Reebok. I like it just slightly better than the new one just because of that collar, like I said. The collar, I do actually like the laces being real laces and not being kind of like rubber inserts that Adidas went with. I just thought the way they had the laces and then the backdrop was that red tab where the NHL logo was. I just think that was a little bit better of a look. It's very minute difference, obviously, but again, love these white jerseys. They're so clean. They're so they're just kind of free of a lot of clutter, and I really liked what they did with that.
I wonder. I'm looking at them and wondering if I would have liked them better if they'd taken the stripes off the arms and put a bar behind. But then we would have had 2 bars, so that may have been too much, or maybe a different look. My favorite of all time was the Stadium Series jersey.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it just blew me away because I really wasn't sure what they were going to come up with. There was so many rumors about were they going to go North Stars, green and yellow, and this was so. It's the scheme is great. It's simple, but it's not simple. I mean, it's got a very clean look, and I love the way the whole thing lays out. I love the big numbers. I think that's really neat. I love the logo sitting by itself in the center. And I think the green and white, or the white and red stripes are it's just a perfect accent. And then I've talked about kind of the piping along the bottom, which I really like. And no laces. So you go right to the NHL jersey. I was a huge fan of this one. I'm really now wondering why I just gave mine away, but I'm happy that it goes to charity. But I just never wear it, but I do. This was my all-time favorite. I love the different patches on the shoulders. The State of Hockey on one and the Stadium Series on the other. I just thought this was so well done, and I was really concerned. I remember thinking about when they were going to do these, and I thought, I hope they don't go crazy and really get way far away from what the Wild are. And I really thought they did a nice job of doing that in this one. That gave it a very different look, and it looked great on the players. The uniforms looked outstanding, but it didn't go way away from what they are. But in the same time, it was very different from what they were.
My favorite thing about this whole uniform setup might have been the M on the Breezers. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it was the first time we had seen the M logo. Obviously, it was from the alternate logo before, but it was isolated to be just the M. And that's turned into a logo that really kind of works for them, and now obviously made it to the shoulder patch of the current greens. And I would be a little bit surprised if we didn't see that as the primary logo to a jersey. Maybe not now, knowing that the North Star colors are going to be involved with a throwback, but maybe Winter Classic, that is entirely possible, because I mocked these up when I made a 3rd jersey article for Zone Coverage summer or 2 or 3 summers ago. And what it looks like with just the M in the middle, it looks a lot like the jerseys from Mystery Alaska, which I thought was kind of cool. Maybe a little bit too simple, but again, I think a lot of times simple works, especially when you're in a Winter Classic and everyone's a bajillion miles away because it's at a baseball stadium and you've got a whole acre before you can see a fan. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that M show up on the Winter Classic jerseys in a big way.
I also would like to give the Wild credit for not giving into the trend that was going on at that time, which was light colored breezers and gloves.
Yes.
And not going with like cream breezers and cream gloves, because there's nothing worse in my mind than light colored gloves and pants. And I mean, I think it was the Kings that did like what and that it was just awful. It hurts your eyes because people, I mean, they melt into the ice, and then it was really hideous. That's the one. 2020, there it is.
Yeah, they look like diapers.
Yes. It's
They
like
were-
they opened it up to a kid who just got on Microsoft Paint for the first time. Went, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Fun, you know? Or you made your own jersey in NHL. Like, oh, let's
Yeah.
just do this. Let's make this teal. And it was just awful.
It almost harkens back to the days of Cooperalls where there was no rules. And you know, so you ended up with a lot of colors running. Yes, child
Yeah.
substance. A lot of colors
Look at
running
those.
together with Cooperalls. There wasn't a lot of continuity with the leg, or there was too much almost continuity with the leg colors on the Cooperalls. It just looked a little bit weird sometimes.
Those are gorgeous. Those are hideous.
Yeah, the 70s were not kind to hockey in a lot of ways.
Now the only jersey that to me that stand the test of time is one of my favorite, and it's not because I'm a fan of their team at all, but it's the Montreal Canadian Reds.
Yeah,
Are and I know that sometimes that gets some people upset, but their jerseys have almost never changed, the Reds, and they're just perfect. And maybe that's why I love the bar across the middle and the bar at the bottom. I love the Montreal Red. It's my all-time. And again, I'm not a Canadiens fan at all, but the Montreal Canadiens jerseys, the Reds, are my all-time favorite in hockey.
Yeah, I own one. I have a Patrick Waugh, actually.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And it's one of my favorites by far. It's definitely up there on the list, and just a tremendous jersey. And the fact that it hasn't changed at all is just awesome.
Yeah.
And others, it's perfect because, I mean, others like the Toronto Maple Leafs have kept theirs too, but it's not, it doesn't do the same thing for me. I don't think the Maple Leafs have really changed their jerseys
They've
much
changed
over the years at
their
all.
their arm striping kind of bounced around a little bit.
But
But
they're
that was
not, they
about
don't
it.
do the same thing for me.
Yeah. And then they went to the Leaf logo with the butt at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Oh,
Well-
Dion Phaneuf. There's a name from the past, huh?
Yeah.
The pylon.
He just kind of faded away quickly.
That was probably for the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the list. Oh, here's more cream pants for you, Dave.
Oh gosh.
The Toronto
That's a-
Arenas.
And that's a turtleneck.
Mhm.
It is.
Could you imagine how hot you'd get playing in a turtleneck?
Oh my God. No thanks.
You think about how light the jerseys are now, and then imagine playing back in like the 70s when they had wool jerseys.
Oh yeah, they were actually
Yes.
sweaters.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh.
And the guys now, I mean, like they truly do love the Adidas stuff. I don't think that's just because, they're current. The guy from who I've talked to, they really, really love everything about the Adidas stuff because it holds a little tighter. It moves well with them. So I think Adidas has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. There's a couple of quibbles, of course, that Giles and I have with what Adidas has done, but for the most part, yeah, when they made that change, it was wildly positive. I mean, there was a lot of teams that went from looking pretty bad to looking respectable again. So that was huge.
I just wish they'd go back and put, if you're gonna do, if they're listening to this and they pay attention, do one thing. Please either do another logo or take the logo and move it back down to the bottom of the jersey. I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that back again.
Yeah.
I think that's prime real estate, though, is the problem.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
It could happen maybe someday if jersey ads become a thing.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Hmm.
They'll move the Adidas when they start putting ads of companies there, which is
Oh, gosh.
not really much better.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that, the possibility of that happening at all.
I think with the NBA having done it, I think it's all but guaranteed with the NHL.
Sure.
I think you'll probably see it in the form of maybe a shoulder patch. I
Yeah.
don't know that they would put it on the chest like the NBA has because there's so many captain's patches, and then they do a lot of and playoffs they put patches on there. But it's coming, and I know the NHL is, for once, the NHL has done a good job at something, and they've fought off jersey ads, but I
It's
still
revenue.
think that that's going to go on for much longer.
That's the truth. I agree. I could see it. I agree. I think shoulder patches, and I think back, like lower underneath where the numbers are, is also another area of prime real estate, especially when you think about what the low angle camera sees. You're going into the corner, they see
Right.
the backside. That's a good spot to put an ad too.
Yeah, I mean that's how my Pee Wee team did it.
Yeah, that's how most. I mean, all these high school guys now, and I assistant coach on a high school team. The shooters jerseys, that's where they have we have the numbers and the names, and then the bottom has the logo. And I think my son's Squirt jersey is the same way.
Yeah. No, yeah, for me it was Squirts, and I think we were done with having the sponsor on the jersey at Pee Wee's. So can probably rustle one up, but yeah, it's certainly precedent.
I'm just interested to see who is the sponsor and where they put them, because it just could, I mean, it has the potential to be great if, Viagra or Cialis or someone decide to sponsor the jerseys. And I mean, like, it's all, obviously the NHL is going to be selective, at least I hope.
Yeah, well, I think they'll probably lead up to the teams just like the NBA has, where it'll probably be local companies, I would assume.
Right.
You'll see the Target bullseye on a Wild jersey or something.
3M. How
Yeah.
about 3 M's? MMM. And then the 3 and the M, it's the Minnesota M.
Well, 3M's already used to bastardizing hockey things in this town, so why not?
Mariucci, yum.
Lovely.
Yeah. Before we dive too much further into ads and Dave's second gig as marketing for 3M, we should probably call it a show.
Yeah.
Dave, before we go, is there anything you wanna plug?
Well, you'll see me all week this week on KARE 11 News at 5, 6, just 6 and 10 actually, because I'm anchoring from home, so I'm going to have a different jersey up in the corner every week, and I look forward to. Can we do this again with Gopher hockey jerseys? Because there's some great ones that I'm
Yes.
a big fan of.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
There's a lot of jerseys that are just beauties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do a top 10 of that and not even really scratch the surface almost.
Yeah.
Yep,
fan.
we can cover that. We'll definitely have you back for that, because I'm guessing we're probably going to get to that in the very near future, because
This goes on any longer.
we need topics.
Hey, you and me both, brother.
Yeah. Whew.
Right.
So yeah, definitely we will watch the KARE 11 News this week with Dave, and we will be sure to note all the different hockey jerseys that corner his new studio from home.
My office. Yeah, I'm actually in it, and you can see the camera behind me for my shot tonight. So very exciting.
Actually figured the camera would be a lot bigger, but I guess in 2020 they've slimmed him down a little bit.
Actually, it's even better. That is only holding my light because I use my phone. So my phone, I have a magnet right here. I stick my phone to it, and then that is the shot.
Oh,
The camera
wow.
I actually use for I don't even end up using the camera much. It's a second camera for all these Zoom interviews that I've been doing. But yeah, it's all done on the phone now, actually.
Wild.
It's crazy what you can do.
Well, we've definitely learned something new on behind the scenes of TV broadcasting.
There you go. That and where Gretzky's CCM patches were.
Yes. Yes.
It's been a successful night.
I can't say I didn't learn anything tonight. So yeah, we thank Dave for joining us, and of course you can find Ben and I yelling at each other on Twitter at Ben Remington, at Giles Farrell, and subscribe this show on whatever platform you listen on, and check out our stuff at zonecoverage.com. So for Dave, Ben, and myself, thanks to everyone for watching and listening, and we will chat with you again later.
Later.
Dan, I got to follow you. Do I not follow you?
I think you do.